Hi guys, I hope everyone is doing fabulous today. So a channel by the name of Chronicles of Olivia, which if you haven't seen her, please check her out. She is adorable and she has a really good channel. She has done 2 interviews with people who are allegedly teens or young adults who attended the party at the sanctuary where kielyRodni was last seen, or was last seen to our knowledge. So both of these witnesses have voice alteration in the interview, and of course their identities are anonymous at this time. But if we are to believe them, it really shakes up those of us that have our eye on Sami or even Jagger as potential suspects. Here's the reason. The second person, so Jane Doe number 2, states that she never saw Jagger at this party. And I don't really recall if Jane Doe number 1 mentions him at all. Jane Doe number 2 specifically says she never saw Jagger at this party. But more importantly, both witnesses state they saw Kiely at the end of the evening inebriated and not in the presence of Sami. According to both witnesses, they saw Kiely without Sami. Sami had already left. This corroborates Sami's version of events. But here's what I can't wrap my mind around. If Sami is telling the truth, then why put yourself out there so much and say on national television that you were one of the last people to see and or speak to Kiely? If you had really gone home, you would have no idea how many people saw her after you spoke to her. She was still at a party with, to our knowledge, at least dozens, if not more. I mean, we had a party that had 2 or 3 or 400, depending on who's telling it, attendees. So even at the end of the night, there would still be quite a few people there. How would you so blatantly, factually say that you were one of the last people to speak to her? I don't understand why she would have put herself in that position. So according to both of these alleged witnesses, Kiely was in fact intoxicated to the point of having trouble, walking or even speaking. Now, this is not shocking to us. We're well aware that this was, a big teen bash with lots of alcohol. So, that's not anything shocking. The second witness says that Kiely told her, assuming that it's a her, told her that she had a ride home. So if you remember, Elsa stated at one point that she saw Kiely also at the end of the evening and that Kiely told her she had a ride home. If these people are all telling the truth, who did Kiely assume she was getting a ride from? Now, according to Sami, Kiely reached out to her 12:36, still seeing if Sami needed a ride home. So did Kiely mean a ride home from her or a ride home with whomever she thought she was getting a ride from? Because she is there allegedly telling others that she has a ride home. So there's still some things that are really baffling in all of these accounts. And although they seem minor in detail, they're really not. They're not minor at all because they hold the key to who was last with Kiely. Was Kiely absolutely alone at the end of the evening, getting into her car and attempting to drive home? Or was there somebody else who was supposed to drive her home? And did that person attempt to drive her home in her own vehicle? I mean, it's possible somebody else could have had a driver's license and said, hey, you're way too effed up, let me drive. But it just, usually when you say you're getting a ride home, the wording of it makes you think they're getting a ride in somebody else's vehicle. Now, according to Jane Doe number 2, she talks about the incident that a lot of us have now heard about, where there is some kind of ruckus on the road leading out of the sanctuary, where traffic is backed up due to some boys that were, getting a little rambunctious and holding up traffic. One is on top of the vehicle, one's in the vehicle blaring music, whatever is going on. According to Jane Doe number 2, she was still able to get to her car because she had parked down past the road that would then lead you into the sanctuary. So she's walking down the road with her ride past all of this, foolishness that's going on, and she's going to her car. She states that there are some other boys on the road also walking to their car who also had chose not to drive down that road, but had parked, before the road. So she states that while walking down this road, her ride, and this other group of boys that she didn't know, but says that her ride did know them, no cars attempted to pass her. She did not see any car lights. So if she's telling the truth, we now can extend our time frame of Kiely being alive and well till at least 1 a.m. That's significant. She also states, in her opinion, that this seems likely to be foul play. This is the young partygoer, and according to her opinion is that this was not an accident. She states that it would be very difficult to have a drunk driving accident on that road. Now, looking at that road, I can kind of see what she's talking about, because it almost seems like a pinball game. You'd be whacking into trees and everything else long before you'd get to the point where you would be driving down and aimlessly into the water. That is alarming when we have the people that were physically there, that are familiar with the landscape, that, have been around potentially party after party with lots of alcohol, that is going to come forward and say it's highly unlikely that this would have happened the way that it's being portrayed. So tell me your thoughts on that. Please go listen to the interviews if you haven't heard them. Tell me what you think about this witness saying that to her recollection of the party, Jagger was not there. And both Jane Doe number 1 and Jane Doe number 2 say Kiely and Sami really weren't together much, if at all, at this party. So why is Sami putting herself in such a bad position by offering herself up as, I was with her, like the whole night, everybody saw us together, I was one of the last people to talk to her? Why is she even putting herself in this position if she's potentially telling the truth? We don't know. But if her story is corroborated by these other witnesses, why put yourself in this situation unless she just loves attention, and it's as simple as that, and she's young and loves attention and doesn't realize that this is not a situation you want to put yourself into if you are in fact innocent. Also, according to Jane Doe number 2, these fights that were going on were nothing more than, just kids being kids, and they bring their boxing gloves to parties and they have friendly fights. I still think it's weird. But she states Kiely did not fight that evening. So we have seen the bruises on Sami, and maybe even on Kate, although they're a little bit more difficult to see on Kate because we really only have that first interview, and we zoom in and we look and all of that, but it's a little bit harder to see on her. The ones on Sami are pretty clear. So if this rules them out as fighting Kiely in these friendly boxing matches, then where did all those bruises come from? Is she just a clumsy girl? Did she just party too much? Was she just drinking too much and maybe fell down a few times, fell into things? Or is there some other more sinister reason for those bruises? And if there is, well, when? Because all these witnesses are saying Sami's gone, Kiely's still there. We still have the tow truck driver. If we know that Kiely was alive and well at 1 o'clock, did she make it out of there? And if she did, with whom? And did she just not go home? Was she still alive and well the next day? Did the tow truck driver really see Kiely? Or did something else happen somewhere between the end of that night and the point that the tow truck driver is involved? If he's even telling the truth, did Sami come back? Tell me your thoughts, because I feel like these witnesses, instead of clearing things up for me, have kind of complicated things. So tell me your thoughts on all of it. Go check out the 2 interviews and let me know if you think it's helping your theory or if it is confusing your theory, because I'm kind of getting a little bit more confused now. Okay, it's making my brain have to readjust some of the things that I thought I knew. So I'll talk to you soon. Bye.